Good afternoon, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and here is your detailed afternoon update on the rainfall event and rainfall depression that's lashing far North Queensland this afternoon for February 8th, 2025. A lot to get through this afternoon with heavy showers and thunderstorms now beginning to develop, which will cause life-threatening flash flooding and severe weather across North Queensland's Cassowary Coast, extending south to Townsville and as far south as Ayr in the Burdekin River Basin as well. Plenty more rainfall is still to come, and I'm going to be diving into great detail about the forecast and the flooding impacts and risks that are associated with this low pressure system. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing and also leave a like on the video while you're at it. All the support lately has been much appreciated, but let's get stuck straight into things right now with a look at the radar imagery and satellite picture. You can see over the last couple of hours plenty of showers and thunderstorms developing along that trough line extending between Mount Isa across the coast around Cardwell and Townsville, and heavy showers and storms now moving into areas around Cardwell, Ingham and Townsville. Now we're also seeing heavy showers and thunderstorms begin development around the Atherton Tablelands as well and north into the Daintree rainforest, where isolated to developing widespread rainfall accumulations, which could be quite heavy at times, are expected to materialise over the coming couple of hours. Plenty of rainfall also extending north into the Cape York Peninsula as well, into areas we don't normally talk about on this channel up around Weipa and Urrukan as well. Some heavy showers and storms up there right now, and plenty of showers and thunderstorms across the southeastern corner of the Gulf of Carpentaria around Mornington Island. These showers and storms will continue developing throughout this afternoon, but let's zoom in now and take a look at the current radar picture across far North Queensland, especially around the Cassowary Coast. That is where I am most interested in what's going on right now. You can see plenty of shower and thunderstorm activity beginning to develop there. It's becoming quite widespread, with some of these showers now housing rainfall rates estimated between 30 and 50 millimetres an hour. In fact, they could be getting a little bit wetter than that as well, and they've really begun to develop in the last couple of hours as well. You can see them now swinging into the Herbert River catchment here, now into the Burdekin and the Horton rivers as well, and a heavy line of showers is about to move in towards Townsville. Now these showers are going to continue developing throughout this afternoon and evening as well. I believe the convective forecast models say it the best, and this is a look at the Access North Queensland forecast model, which has hit the nail on the head for at least the 24-hour forecasts for the last couple of days. It can be a very unreliable forecast model, but I think this afternoon and evening it's going to be pretty much picture perfect in terms of what it is saying here. It's going to pan out pretty much exactly how the forecast is suggesting here. So we're going to use this forecast model exclusively. You can see by around 5 or 6 p.m. expecting heavy showers to widespread heavy falls expected on the Cassowary Coast, with the heaviest falls between Cairns down towards Ingham. Very heavy falls expected around Innisfail and Tully, with isolated totals up to about 30 to 50 millimetres an hour. In fact, they could be a little bit wetter than that around some of these locations here, which will of course all become runoff after the nearly 2,000 millimetres of rainfall that they've had this year around Innisfail and Tully. A lot of that water is just going to flow straight into the rivers and cause some significant flooding problems. So I'll get to the flooding risk at the later part of this video here, but expecting heavy falls tonight around the Cassowary Coast, especially around Innisfail, Tully, down towards Cardwell and Ingham, and then heavy falls expected along the trough line, mainly inland actually from Townsville and the North Queensland coastline, but still isolated heavy showers and storms expected around the Townsville area. And then for inland communities south of Georgetown and for south extending right down towards Hewend, Stamford, Torrance Creek and Charters Towers, heavy showers and storms also expected through there, and some good storms also extending inland out towards Cloncurry, Mount Isa and Julia Creek on the edge of where this trough line is going to be. The showers and storms out here are actually going to be pretty slow moving, and I know that doesn't have much bearing on the North Queensland situation, but expect heavy falls if you do live inland into North Queensland as well, again in areas we don't normally talk about on this channel. Plenty more rainfall expected right through tonight into early tomorrow morning as well. We're expecting very heavy falls throughout the remainder of tonight, and we're expecting to be waking up tomorrow morning to some very heavy falls as well across parts of the Atherton Tablelands. The rainfall will steadily ease off come around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. There will still be some heavy showers along the Cassowary Coast and inland with the Atherton Tablelands, and as a low pressure system moves offshore, we're expecting some heavy falls as well along the North Queensland coastline between Tully and Townsville, at least very early on tomorrow morning, before that rainfall steadily eases off throughout the remainder of Sunday. It will pick up again quite heavy at times as well. Sunday evening we're expecting heavy falls again along the Cassowary Coast, especially between Innisfail and Ingham, right in the same areas that are going to get smashed tonight with rainfall. So I feel like whatever pans out tonight, it's going to be a very similar situation as to what how it will pan out as well, the weather at least, how it will pan out on Sunday night and into Monday morning, so keep that in the back of your head as well. And some heavy falls also expected out Sunday night into the Atherton Tablelands out towards Chillago, Mount Carbine, and also inland out towards Atherton, Ravensson, Mareeba in the closer side of the coast of the Atherton Tablelands. So some good rainfall also expected out there as well. Slow moving showers and thunderstorms will continue through Monday morning, expected to pick up again Monday evening as a bit of a rainfall depression moves, as this rainfall depression rather moves closer to the coastline, and as such very heavy falls expected to materialise through Tuesday, which will kind of be the last surge in rainfall. I'm expecting some heavy falls here as this rainfall depression crosses the Cape York Peninsula sometime Monday night into Tuesday morning, and as such heavy falls expected to be dragged down the North Queensland coastline, especially along the Daintree and the Cairns area, and then down in towards Innisfail by early Tuesday morning, and then late Tuesday morning in towards Tully, Cardwell, Ingham and Hinchbrook Island, and then early Tuesday afternoon expecting some heavy falls to move into the Townsville area up there, and then by Tuesday evening this rainfall will then begin to start easing off, but certainly a couple of 100 millimetres possible on Tuesday from heavy falls. They will be quite quick moving in comparison to the rainfall that we have already received, but certainly worth mentioning at this time, even though Monday will be a slightly dry day. It will give those rivers a little bit of time to, flush themselves out and draw those water levels back a little bit. Much needed time for them to draw those water levels back a little bit as well, might I add. But then we'll get another surge of rainfall coming through Tuesday, and depending on whereabouts you are, especially along the Castro coast, you could be looking at a couple of 100 millimetres falling in a very short stint of time. And even around Townsville, especially Magnetic Island and Palm Island, and into the hills towards the northwest of Townsville as well at Paloma Dam, Rollingston, then further north up towards Ingham and the Cardwell Gap, we could be seeing some very significant rainfall accumulations there as well. So again, certainly something worth keeping in the back of your head. The rainfall will slide down the Queensland coastline throughout late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, pretty much clearing out by late Wednesday morning off the Queensland coastline. You can see as this low pressure system moves further and further out to sea, only a few light showers will be in the vicinity in the wake of this system, and as such, significant rainfall accumulations are not expected beyond Tuesday afternoon across North Queensland. It looks like it's actually going to be a pretty dry picture throughout the remainder of mid-February. Into the later parts of February, there have been rumbles of another rainfall event developing sometime around the 25th or the 26th of February as we enter another high energy period up in North Queensland. But for the time being, it looks like we're going to get at least a week, maybe even a week and a half of dry conditions starting from about Tuesday evening and into Wednesday morning on the 11th and the 12th of February respectively. So very good news so far, North Queensland. They're very soggy up there. They do not need any more rainfall, certainly nothing in the way of significant rainfall. And unfortunately, as there is a little bit more to come, they're certainly going to still see some minor flash flooding and even riverine flooding in some locations. So again, the weather is not done yet. The significant severe weather is not done yet, and I still believe that there is, or if there isn't, there should be a severe weather warning in place for locations on the Castro coast down towards Townsville. Flood warnings still in hold for some of these rivers up here as well. Significant flooding is expected to continue. And here is a look at the rainfall map, and I do believe that the Eastern Weather forecast model here has hit the nail on the head in terms of how much rainfall is expected, but nonetheless I will give my 2 cents worth on each location, starting in the north and heading south as we normally do here. For the next 3 days, rainfall accumulations are still expected to be heavy, and we will be seeing some of those heavy falls, especially Monday night and into Tuesday morning, and isolated heavy showers and storms expected tonight and into tomorrow night as well around the Daintree rainforest, where we could be seeing spot rainfall accumulations up to 200 millimetres there. Widespread falls between Cook downtown towards Port Douglas will be between 80 and 150 millimetres, with, like I said, the heaviest falls around Mossman being up to about 200 millimetres. I don't really see a world where pockets of the Daintree don't get any more rainfall than that. I do feel like 200 millimetres is the maximum now for the Daintree rainforest. Depending on what rainfall comes through Monday night into Tuesday morning for Cairns, they could be looking at up to 200 millimetres as well, especially if they see a funnel of rainfall on the radar heading into the Cairns area. Would not be surprised if some really heavy falls materialised around Cairns late Monday night into early Tuesday morning. So Cairns is definitely a wild card that I want to be taking a look at in close detail in tomorrow morning's forecast update. But at this time, I would not be surprised if we were seeing high-end triple-figure rainfall accumulations in Cairns, like I said, up to 150 or 200 millimetres. Anything over 200 millimetres, though, for Cairns seems a little bit unreasonable at this time, but again, I will keep a very close eye on it. Into the Atherton Tablelands, rainfall accumulations between 120 and 180 millimetres looks to be the norm. We could be seeing slightly heavier falls as you get further south and further towards the coastline as well. But a lot of locations, especially around Mount Carbine, Chillago, Atherton, Mareeba and Ravenstow, picking up anywhere between 120 to 180 millimetres. On the higher side of that, of course, as you get closer towards Innisfail and Tully. Significant rainfall accumulations expected around Belenden, Kerr and Babinda as well. We could be seeing falls there anywhere between 200 and 400 millimetres and maybe even slightly more depending on what rainfall comes through on Tuesday morning. Again, the forecast here and the rainfall accumulations are very dependent on how heavy the rainfall is going to be on Tuesday morning. There is still a significant range of possibilities Tuesday morning in terms of what rainfall comes in, whether it just slides down the coastline or it actually crosses the coastline and we get some heavy showers moving through there. I do right now believe that it is going to be on the higher end of this, but it could completely bust out, and again it's going to be kind of a look at the radar on the morning of and see what rainfall is coming through. Either way, it's not going to have too much bearing. Minor to moderate riverine flooding in the Johnston rivers is still expected regardless of what rainfall falls. Innisfail, my number for them right now about 350 millimetres, further south down towards Tully about 400 to 450 millimetres, and around Mission Beach we could be seeing slightly more rainfall there. It's going to be locations between Cardwell and Townsville, especially like I said from the rainfall that comes through Tuesday morning and into Tuesday afternoon where the highest accumulations are. On top of the couple of 100 millimetres that they'll see tonight, tomorrow night, and into Monday morning, which could be very heavy at times from this rainfall here. They're definitely looking at picking up 75 millimetres tonight, and then another 75 millimetres on Sunday, and potentially 50 millimetres on Monday. We could be seeing a further 200 millimetres on top of that to give rainfall accumulations there between 400 and 600 millimetres around Ingham and Cardwell. Some really heavy falls possible there as well, and then along the coastline south of Ingham and south of Halifax, you can see the forecast suggesting falls up to 500 millimetres there. I reckon the absolute maximum amount of rainfall over the next 3 days in this area is probably pushing 600 to 650 millimetres, and that's of course on top of the rainfall that has already fallen today as well, so we could still be seeing some really significant falls here. But I don't see a world where 3-day rainfall accumulations from now is more than 750 millimetres around Rollingstone or the Paluma Dam. I think that's kind of the absolute maximum that can be expected at this time, reasonably speaking. Of course, it really does come down to how much rainfall comes through on Tuesday morning, but at this time it's not looking overly terrible. I mean, considering that there is some very heavy rain that's going to be expected, we normally do just fear the worst up in far North Queensland, that it's just going to sit and then we're going to be seeing some really significant rainfall accumulations as a result. But it's going to be having a bit of forward motion, this rainfall event. So as large as this rainfall band is going to be, especially on Tuesday morning, it can be as intense as it wants. It's going to be moving through fast enough as to where it's not just sitting on top of a location for 12 hours and dropping 50 millimetres an hour. So I do feel like Tuesday morning, the rainfall accumulations, whilst they will be 100 to a couple of 100 millimetres across some locations, nothing over 300 millimetres can be expected around this part of North Queensland, and even down towards Townsville as well. Rainfall accumulations there aren't going to be anything absurd either. They're only expecting about a further 150 to 250 millimetres on top of what's already fallen there. And again, a lot of that, surprise, surprise, is going to be coming through Tuesday morning. I know this is going to sound pretty disappointing to people south of Townsville as well. I mean, they obviously don't need any more rainfall. Same with Guru as well. But down into the Whitsundays as well, looking out for a little bit more rainfall and showers down there. They really do like it, but they don't really need any more rainfall down there. And it'll be good to see those river levels, especially the Pioneer River, begin to start terminally dropping off as well over the coming couple of days, but not too much in the way of rainfall expected down in the Whitsundays or even down towards Mackay, and then further south than that you can pretty much discount any chance of significant or measurable rainfall as well south of Mackay. A couple of drops still expected into the mountains out towards Yalborough and Gargett, and we could be talking about maybe 100 millimetres there over the next 3 days, but that is an absolute worst case scenario at this time, and again unlikely to cause significant flooding. Along the trough line tonight into tomorrow night, we're expecting some significant falls as well, south of Croydon, extending south towards Hughenden as well, and outside of Charters Towers. Falls in this general area here, which is a very remote part of Queensland, feeding into the Gilbert River and also in towards the Burdekin River as well. Falls through here should be between 100 and 250 millimetres, so plenty of farmland, plenty of cattle ranchers out there expecting some good falls as well, and for the most part I think that this will be welcome rainfall for them. They haven't actually received significant rainfall accumulations this wet season, in stark contrast to what fell last week along the North Queensland coastline. So a lot of the rainfall out here, especially 100 millimetres over 3 days, will be very, very welcome to a lot of the cattle ranchers, which is very good news indeed. I do apologise as well as a forecaster. The rainfall forecast up here is a little bit murky at this time, but considering that about 50 to 60% of the rainfall that's on the forecast over the next 3 days is still about 3 days away on Tuesday morning, it's a bit difficult, a bit challenging to give an exact picture and an exact idea of what's going to be going on. And as well, because of my holiday that's coming up and rapidly approaching, I'm heading off tomorrow, I won't be able to cover it in the form of videos, but you can find information over on the Facebook page as well. There'll be a link in the channel description. I'm more than happy to be providing twice daily updates over there, and I will be doing so on Tuesday for this Queensland situation there as well. And feel free to message me or leave me a comment in the comment section down below as well. I'd be more than happy to help you out with the forecast for your location. So again, I do apologise that the forecast isn't squeaky clean and certain for Tuesday morning, when the majority of that rainfall is going to be coming through. We're just not 100% certain at this time, and I won't be saying anything that I'm not 100% sure of. Like we said in this morning's forecast update, flooding is expected. It's not expected to be major across much of the rivers here. The Herbert River is kind of the only one that's sticking out to me like a sore thumb. I expect that to remain above moderate and possibly up towards major flooding around Ingham and Halifax for the next couple of days, and significant rises in water levels also expected through the Tully and the Herbert River, especially Monday night into Tuesday morning, with the flooding expected to continue through Tuesday evening and into Wednesday morning because of the rainfall that's going to be very heavy in nature across there. Plenty of the creeks and rivers as well, the smaller ones especially, are expecting massive jumps in water levels as well, especially if they get rainfall in their catchment over the next 48 hours. And I'm especially interested in rivers around the Tully, the smaller rivers as well around the Tully and the Cardwell area. They're going to be seeing some pretty significant falls as well. So expect some wild jumps in the water levels. If you do live in a flood prone area, it's still certainly a very risky time as well, so make sure you've got those sandbags up still, you've prepared for some minor to moderate flooding in your area, and of course don't plan floodwaters, and if it's flooded, forget it. It's very important to stay vigilant at a time like this. Flooding in the Ross and the Bowley rivers is not expected to be major at times, but we are still looking at minor to moderate flooding in both the Ross and the Bowley rivers as well, so certainly something to keep in the back of your head. And then flooding through the Horton River as well through Guru will continue at the major level for the next 48 hours or so, and flooding in the Burdekin River is also expected to be quite significant later on this weekend and into very early next week. South of that, though, the Proserpine and the Pioneer rivers, like I said at the start of the video, beginning to drop off quite nicely now, which is very, very good news indeed. In terms of the forecast, that basically does it for now up in North Queensland. Again, there's not an awful lot more that I can say apart from these showers are beginning to rapidly develop now, and they've developed even further in the half an hour that it's taken me to record this video. So plenty of showers and plenty of storm activity still continuing along far North Queensland and the coastline. It's changed up from significant rainfall bands to just quick short stints of very heavy rainfall coming through in the form of showers, which it does present a higher risk for flash flooding, but rainfall accumulations should be capped at a less significant amount as a result of these showers here. So certainly something still to be keeping a close eye on. Make sure you're on top of the radar, and any questions or comments as well, feel free to reach out to me as well. That's all from me today. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now. Could not run the show without them, and again, their support is much appreciated. But again, that is all from me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.